get to it. Got this Avatar season over here. You know, we just recognizing that Avatar is about to come out on Blu-ray in a minute. Sure, it's gonna be just at home.
What is the yo? You know, I've been messing up titles lately. Damn, what's the the ocean? What was it? Sound of the water. What is
music? No, what is it? Way of the water.
Way of the waves. Ocean. What is it? The song of the damn. What is it? The song of
what the hell?
Song of the Sea. What was it called, man? Avatar.
Avatar 2. Motion in the Ocean.
Avatar 2.
Motion in the Ocean is crazy.
Hey, Motion in the Ocean is wild, bro.
It is the way of the water.
It's crazy. All right, yeah, way of the water. I think I said way of the waves. Sun shit. Yeah, okay.
Before I left Cincinnati in 2007, my life was about the way of the waves. I ain't had waves since I left.
Yeah. Went to Cali and
I think the dry heat out there it didn't do good for that. I've never gotten them back. I always say, like, I'm gonna go get this cut, and especially when you're cool with the barber, like, man, just wait. If I'm gonna try again. Yeah, shit is just not happening for me. It's over now. I'm almost like Durant. Like, I'm just gonna get the cut. I'm gonna brush it until it's time to go get the.
You ain't like Durant. Don't put that on you. Yeah, don't put that on yourself.
Man, he couldn't even. He got the cut for the playoffs, man. But he's usually not even bothered. Not even bothered to brush. Like,
he ain't wearing no do-rag. He jumps out the bed straight to the court, bro. He ain't brushing. He ain't doing nothing. He ain't got a hard or a soft brush. He just nothing.
He just getting up and it's on. Like, then he throw the beanie on when he want to.
Yeah. And he taking the beanie off and just if the beanie come off, he's straight to the court after that. He ain't even adjusting. Right, looking in the mirror. He'll rock a beanie, take it off, and not even touch his head. He just pulling the beanie off, not even. Yeah.
For that quick minute, he tried to go hang time, and I was like, "Well, if you're gonna do it, right? If you're gonna go ahead." And then like he stopped that. Like, he was going hang time for a minute. Like, okay, if you don't want to brush, but then hang time after a while requires maintenance, right?
Facts.
You want to get that, you gotta do this, you gotta go get this. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and just go back to what I was doing. But he got the cut for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the cleanest he looked in years, man.
Yes, since his mom's was a real MVP. Since he was in that press conference and saying that's the last time he was clean.
When he got up there with them fake glasses, like
yeah. remember that era?
The real MVP, yeah. Fake ass glasses. Anybody put them on, like, damn. Oh shit, damn. You know, you take somebody's fake glasses and put them on, like, damn, nigga, I must be blind because I see everything clearly. You got a prescription? Nah, I don't.
They used to always do that for them interviews. When NBA dudes or whatever, they get the interview and they was going to the fake glasses. Yeah, that's when he had them on and he had the cut. And then after he won the MVP, and then he said it's over.
You know, Brown was up there. I wish school. I would say I wish. What is it? I promise.
Promise situation.
Yeah, the promise school. He had the fake joints on. Like,
yeah, that was that time.
Yeah,
that's a bygone era nobody talk about. And they bring up eras like, oh, remember that? The fake glasses era.
That's facts, yeah.
Just to do it, but nonetheless, we just gonna kind of get to it, man.
We got some stuff to talk about. We got we got the finale, right?
Yeah, and probably start there. Discussing the season 3 finale of the Mandalorian.
Wow,
and without even getting into like the because you start talking about this, you talk about the episode, but you got to talk about the season as a whole. Then it can delve into the series, right? a reflect on the series. But we had the finale. How did you come away from the episode, but then 2, how it capped the season?
I thought it was a solid episode, and I thought it was a solid cap for the season. again, if you put your expectations to the side, if you curb your your expectations, in all these theories we came up with and people came up with, put that to the side. No, it was a solid episode. Not the best finale out of the 3 seasons.
Yeah.
But man, action from beginning to end. You got the little subtle moments at the end, but yeah, that was nonstop. Pace was all over the pace was crazy. Solid episode.
Pace was crazy.
Pace is crazy. Yeah, no, Pace is crazy though.
No, it was though.
Hey, Pace is crazy. Pace is crazy. So. Yeah, no, the pace was wild. I mean, it was nonstop breakneck speed, man. Just they got straight to it and just never stopped.
Yeah, it was like I think it encapsulated the season. Like first of all, you make a really good point about the enthusiasm, right? Or not? What do we call? What you say? Not curb. You didn't curb your enthusiasm.
Yeah, what
expectation. The expectation thing, because you have this. You have a third season, right? Well, once you have more than one season. One season has to be the best, and one season has to be not the best, right?
Facts,
like it's just how it is, right? Something is not going to be as good as another one. I say all that to say, this episode and this finale, for the story that they told this season, once you got into that point, this is what they're telling, it fit what they were telling. But you had to get to the point where you were like, this is what they look. This is the story. You had to understand that for you. For me, I had to understand that for myself.
Right.
This is the story. A great symbol was Moff destroying the Darksaber. Just destroying it. Right. Yeah. Just hands, just that. As much as I've been crying about and complaining about Darksaber, that was the story. That was and this is what you got your theory about it. You got your conversation about it. Jermaine, you went and bought one in preparation for season 3. This is what it was about, right? This is what it was. We're just going to go ahead and crush it. That's our story we telling this season.
Yeah, it was kind of a moment like that, right? You almost felt like they were kind of telling us y'all, all this talk about the Darksaber. All right, man, watch this. And it was like, damn, we crushing the Darksaber. Yeah, take that. You know what I mean? That shit hit the ground. I'm like, damn, all this stuff we had, bro. Man, she done got it. Hey, bro, Bo-Katan, bro. She can't keep the Darksaber, man. So they finally just going to say, man, you know what?
It was in the worst hands with her, right?
Oh man.
But we've been saying that though. We've been consistent in saying that Bo-Katan as her character and her Katie Sackhoff killed it this season. But if you look at from Clone Wars to Rebels to Mandalorian, that was not for her.
Facts.
It was not for her. And that was a symbol that symbolized that. So yeah, 100%. The only thing I would add is you asked me a question about the last episode when Paz Vizsla died, and you were like, "Did you feel anything?" Right? There you go. Yeah. And I think that was a moment that also talked about this season where there were just some things that happened that just were, and that's, I think it has something to do with expectation, that were just empty. Wasn't bad. We're just empty. Whereas I didn't feel anything. I'll use an example because when they said it, I was like, duh, right? But it was supposed to be a moment. So when she said when the Mandalorians when he was like Grogu could ready to become a Mandalorian, and she was like, she can't speak, he can't do the creed, and if he can't do the creed, he can't do this. And he was like, basically like, what if I as his parent or whatever, that's to that fact. If he was under me, and she was like, oh yeah, well then you have adopted Grogu. I'm like, well, duh, you told him that in season 1. Yeah. Like this whole story has been about him
right?
Being the father is the father and the child, right? Like he's been the father, right? Like
yeah, I thought we already
we already did that in season 1 when you said like, and that's my point about where it was like that was something, and it was empty because it was like for me it was empty because it was like, well, we already knew that because when you said that in season 1, that was the shit. That's what the show started it was already good, but it rang off from there on in. Like, you are a clan of 2, right? The clan of 2 line, it was like, oh, okay, this shit is on. We know we know where we going. So then when it was said that, and it was like, okay, yeah, you're like, everybody been calling him his dad, and he came back to him, right? Like when Grogu came back. So yeah, it was just like some of the things that had happened. I thought it was dope when he got the name. So there was like a little story, like, oh no, you're Din Grogu, right? And it was like, oh, what the whole Din Djarin. So
yeah,
that's
I don't thought it was his first name. I didn't know that was. I didn't know his name was Djarin.
Yeah, like Din is like, so whoever got Mandalorian that was a Din, right? You can go down the line and figure out how Din got his name. Yeah. That part was like, oh, okay. But it was the part before that. It was like, okay, you're his father now. And it was like, oh shit, Mando been his father for 3 years.
Like literally. Right?
Like you told him that. So yeah, that's some things that were like that, where it was just like, but that had been sprinkled throughout the season. It wasn't just that. I'm using that as an example to try to make my, saying what I say a lot to say nothing, but I'm using that as an example, not to use that as that was foul. It was just like, whoa, that already been established. That wasn't nothing new. So when that line got said, it was like, I don't know if that was supposed to hit, but there was no way that it could never hit. Like
no
the first
way that was going to hit. It was
no way. There's no way it could hit.
Everybody, that was a collective thud. It had to be for everybody. You know what I mean? Obviously, I wasn't watching them. I was I'm dolo, but I was just like watching them, just like, okay. And then that's sort of my complaint about this show is, and it's always kind of through the armor where it's like she'll kind of say the same thing 7 or 8 different ways.
Yeah.
You must bathe in the waters of Mandalore. You must dip your head in the waters.
Dipping your head is crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, she say the same thing over and over again, different ways. And this was kind of an example of that. Like, you're just telling us what you told us last season. Of course, they are a clan of 2. You've given them armor already. You've given Din Djarin and Grogu armor. Like, they're this is obviously father and son. He's already been in a training. He was involved in the training. Like, he was training with the other foundling. So it's like, okay, making the ceremony official now. Yeah, that was weird for me, man.
And maybe that's what it was, because then he used the term. That's what Din said. He said apprentice. That's Star Warsy as hell. Like, that's
Star Warsy as hell, but that's like a Jedi thing.
Yeah,
he did. Okay, so, I mean, but yeah, I guess you're right. That is Star Warsy as hell.
Yeah, the whole I'm not using that apprentice,
Padawan is like
and like everybody got those kind of like they got they got that kind of hierarchy or kind of relationship between someone older and someone younger that you providing tutelage to. Right. But then they said foundling. So they already had a kind of line. But then that's what I made fun of that. How many times have I made fun of that about Obi-Wan being sassy with kind of sonage with Anakin, like, very good job, my young apprentice. And it's like, man, that's you giving these props, but you actually sunning the way you say that.
Oh, he stays sunning.
My younger. Remember when Padme had already fell to the desert, and he said, "Good thinking, my younger apprentice." And it's like, man, I'm hurting over here, like, Padme, and you saying some sunnage lines, but yeah. So yeah. So you're right. That wasn't, unless that's just not a Jedi thing, but ultimately that was a setup for that line. But I was like, but again for that one, again, just saying like how it encapsulated the season, those kind of lines are like, he already been that. Yeah, like what's the official thing that we're doing, and like in terms of like a recap of the season or something, or a recap of the series. Yeah, it was just weird to hear those kind of like those kind of like that conversation was weird because to your point, it's saying the same thing just in a different way that you already said. It was like they gave the armorer. She's had limited time on screen, but it always was impactful. Right. When she gave him the whistling birds, like some of the best scenes in season 1. I mean, season 1 had some dope scenes. I'm not trying to say that she turned the season out, but ranking amongst some of the best are the ones with the armor. Right. Absolutely. Like you can rank in your best scenes of season 1 when she gave him the whistling birds and then she explained what it was to him. And then, then when she was whooping, when they at the end, when she told them they were clan of 2, just like, and then the Boba Fett episode. That Boba Fett episode, it was like, and it's like they took all those things that she had said and just reworded it for this season in different ways. Like she already had Mando that. And I said, my bad, I went long, but
no.
Like how it was. That's like like for that season. The only thing maybe new she said was the stuff she said to Bo-Katan, which would kind of go back and again the expectation. We looking at the last episode when it was called The Spies, where I don't know what happened to that, right? So then it became this whole week conversation about who the spy. And then we got to that one. It was like, nah, that never was a thing. Never was a thing. So then you read the receipts on everything she said to Bo-Katan. So then you kind of almost got to go back and look again at what she said to Bo, like what was their relationship?
That's a good point.
That would have been the only thing would have been new. What she said to Mando was the same.
Yeah, it was very redundant. It was just like, it's like sound familiar.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like wondering, like, wait a minute, were we okay? this is not a revelation, this is we heard this before. It was I don't know, it was weird, man. Did you think like were you expecting something else though? Or, like because when they got to the part where when he said, okay, because it's almost like you knew, you like, okay, well, like the part when they're in the ceremony at the end and she's like, I'm like, okay, I know they ain't about to. It seems like they're going to the obvious thing that she's gonna say that you got to adopt the Grogu, and I'm like, wait a minute, but what I mean? This is where I kind of expected something else to happen because I'm like, well, it's obvious that this is his son, so I'm kind of waiting on I'm really waiting on something that should just pop up. Like, well, I'm waiting on Grogu to talk is what I'm getting to. Like I'm beating around the bush, but. Did you think Grogu was going to speak at that moment? When
100%
Grogu. He was like, she was like, well, he can't give the creed. And this is where I'm like, whoa, okay, here we go. Finally, Grogu is about to speak. And it's like, well, no, if he can't speak, then I'm like, man, y'all really going to waste this moment.
And then told him he had to leave.
And then told him, like, I'm like, wait a minute. This is it. Like and they go to Grogu. They like, freeze in on Grogu twice.
Yeah, I thought Grogu was speaking.
And I'm like, oh, Grogu was about to finally speak. Here we go. He gonna say like, he gonna speak up and say, I can do I can say the creed or whatever. This is the way. Something. And because I'm like, I'm thinking it's obvious that they setting him up for that. Nah, she just says the same thing. Saying what we already knew. No, you got to adopt him. And basically, you got to make it official. So that he doesn't have to speak the creed or whatever, or whatever, And I'm just like, man, it just felt like a missed opportunity. And I'm like, truth be told, Grogu is like, how much has Grogu really moved in terms of development?
Not
like,
one bit. I mean,
he's in the same. He's the same thing he was in the beginning of the season, man. Yeah, he did a few flips. But we ain't seen him swing a lightsaber. We ain't seen him swing a blade of any kind. He's yet to use a weapon.
And the only thing he can do now that he couldn't do before is use a force without falling
without passing out.
I passed out. My bad. No, it's actually bad. But that about it though. Like that's it. Like he still loses energy. He had to sit down, but like he was using the force. And but he trained with Luke a long time, right? So like. He did, but I said that, but we, again, and I'm not gonna go long on that. You're absolutely right because what I was saying, like off the last episode of season before, the episode before, was just like, yeah, they didn't have anything for Grogu. Like, we were talking a lot about Din and things, and then we like, oh, Pedro might not have been around. That's why this was happening, that and the third. And I think we got validated on that one, considering he went home, sat on the front porch with no one around, and he kept that helmet on. He wasn't taking that helmet off this season, right? Because they didn't have him. I say all that to say, one undertold thing, or one thing that we brought up, was that they didn't have anything for Grogu this year, or this season. They didn't have anything.
They didn't.
We got more developed in the damn Boba Fett series than he did.
That's true. Yeah.
That he did in
those 2 episodes. Yeah. That's what we don't talk about enough is. I'm gonna say we, but I'm just saying, like, that people like that doesn't get brought up enough. The fact that not only was Din Djarin a co-pilot or in his own show, not only was he a co-star in his own show, hey man, Grogu was also in the background. Like, neither one of them had anything to do. Grogu really didn't have anything to do.
And it's their show.
And it's their show. It's their story. It's their story. It's supposed to be, like you said, what is it? Wolf and Cub. What was the
Lone Wolf and Cub?
Lone Wolf and Cub. It wasn't even that. Like, this was about Bo-Katan, man. This was her show. Like, they really should have just called this the Book of Bo-Katan. Like, I don't know why they felt like they couldn't get that off, but to just put her, at center stage this season and take Grogu and make him make him a background character when he's supposed to be like this, cute, cuddly toy seller, merchandise seller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was strange, man. And
yeah, so that go along with it, and that kind of like when you posed that question last week, but that's kind of like what the season was, right? Like, so there were different things that happened. Like, probably the most impactful thing that happened that even when they tried to redo it, it didn't hit for me. And it's not me trying to shit on the show. I'm just saying, like, the Mythosaur was probably the biggest thing that happened, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. It's probably something else that happened, but that Mythosaur was like, damn, right? Like, shit. Like, from a Mandalorian standpoint,
yeah.
But in retrospect, it was like, really, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah, they didn't do anything with it.
It wasn't, right? Like, we got a Mythosaur. We had been leading up to that. Stories have been told, songs have been written, that kind of deal. And it didn't mean anything in the end. It wasn't. It was definitely an open. I wish I had a better word, because there was a word I had earlier that I wanted to say. It was almost like they reset the story. I really wanted to say retconned what season 1 and 2, but that's so left field. They kind of reset the story. And then sometimes they reset it during the season, right? Like, that happened, but it didn't really mean anything. That's the weird thing about the Mandalorian, because everything has meant something. We kept saying this almost on Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness levels for us, man, because, like, one thing we said was they don't leave meat on the bone when it comes to Mandalorian. Everything they do,
right?
Everything come back. Mm-hmm. There was no filler episode. What you thought was a filler episode was really something that they was setting up for later. Every word that got said, everything was about something, considering that one person barely talks and the other person can't talk, right? But nothing was wasted. But this season had a lot of it. And this finale had that from action and all that. But we open-ended with we open-ended, and let me say this better. I'm not gonna say the finale had. The finale had action. Finale had couple dope things. Finale, it ran good. Was I little befuddled that last ceremony stuff? I was like, yeah, like, damn, we did that for 2 seasons or for 3 seasons, so we just kind of repeated. We kind of made it official, I guess. I guess it's like 2 people that's been dating for 7 years and like, oh, we together now. Like,
they in the office everybody know they together, but they ain't made it official. And then they come out and they like, just in case you didn't notice, we made it Facebook official. You guys seen the Facebook. Yeah,
y'all been together.
Everybody knows. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we know y'all been together.
How that was.
That's kind of how it was. It was like,
that's the sucky thing. Pause. That's been a silly thing for some of the things that happened this season. That some of those things have kind of happened, and that was the least I got to the end where I didn't like let it sit with me for too long. Like the Darksaber thing. The Darksaber thing just threw me off so bad. I couldn't even appreciate. Not only could I appreciate anything in the show that week, I started not appreciating the season. Just off that thing. And there's a couple things like that happened where it was like, I would have, but this one, when that happened, it was like, I thought that, okay. Well, it's consistent with the season. That's not like it's not like like some outlier that just happened. Like, wait, what? That came out of left field. That's kind of like how they've been acting this entire season in terms of storytelling.
Yeah, you made a good point early. Yeah, when you said that that was the story, man. Like you're right, man. We made these theories up, man. Like I said, I try to separate things. I try to say, look, man, what I get, I try not to hold these shows accountable for shit that I came up with.
Exactly.
Or that we came up with. You know what I mean? Like we theorize, like, and fans do this.
Of course.
We come up with better fiction, or we come up with something better than what they came up with, right? Like what we thought of was so far we just knew the armor was one of the spies, if not the spy. You know what I mean? So
she was Rook.
Yeah, we had her. We had her Rook cast. You know what I mean? I had a whole research thing laid out that I did on Rook cast, and going back and when you look at the how she her whole set, her whole armor set, like she got like the little, I don't know if it's like a kilt or a dress or little mini skirt thing she got going on. I think Rook cast had that. I'm like, this is Rook cast. You know what I mean? And in our mind, that's Rook cast. But the reality of it is that none of that is true until it's confirmed. Exactly. So they come out or they make it clear in the show, that this is Rook cast. Like she has to announce herself as that, and none of that happened, man. The armor was in there, just man. She just wrecking people. She flying in the air, man. She got her tools out, man. People, man. Bro, she
jetpack with and some prongs, man.
I didn't even know the armor had a jetpack. I mean, of course, you would expect her to.
She should have never had one.
But she's never had one. You know what I
mean? Everyone else had one. She never had one.
You ain't never seen an armor up in the air. You know what I mean? So, this was like her showcase episode. Like, we're going to show you everything that the armor can do. You know what I mean? I even had like a little poll up, like, man, she's taking the mask off or not.
Yes, I was doing it.
Yeah, she ain't
she coming up. If anybody was gonna come out the mask this season, she was coming out.
She was the one. That was my theory, bro. I was sticking to that. That did not happen, man.
She was gonna take it off. Like, remember this? We had her. I know in my head canon, I had her coming at Bo. When she came up on she was gonna come up on Bo and tell her who she was.
Yeah,
and tell her who she was. Like, oh yeah, you remember this? And then she was gonna take her, and she was gonna be in cahoots with Gideon. Gideon, and what's two questions I have for you. One, what's the likelihood you think Gideon is out?
See that again. We see, this is what I mean. Like we do this, you know what I mean? Because we like, part of me want to say, look, my theory brain want to say, pause. My theory brain want to say, look, man, that was a clone. Gideon coming back next season, right? Like, that was not Gideon. There's no way he just went out like that, or like Gideon survived crashing in the TIE fighter. Like, he survived every season. He makes it out every season. Hey, man, Gideon gone, man. I don't think Gideon's coming back. I don't think Carlos Esposito's making another Star Wars movie, show, episode. the most we're gonna see from Carlos Esposito is voice acting. You know, maybe when if they do another show, maybe he pops up in
Okay.
the final season of Bad Batch. Maybe he pops up, you know, maybe they do a Lego Mandalorian or something. Maybe he pops up there.
Yeah,
In
video
terms
game.
of us seeing Carlos Esposito again live action, where he's playing the original Moff Gideon, I don't think we're gonna see that. If we do see, in my opinion, if we do see Moff Gideon again, it'll be a clone. He'll be the clone. You know, like I like if you asking me if we're gonna see Moff Gideon again, we'll see some version of him. I think we'll see some version of him.
But not
Moff Gideon is
not
dead.
Grand Moff.
Nah,
not
Moff Gideon dead.
Long Live the Empire. Moff
nah,
Gideon.
that dude gone. That dude.
You think that was him that fell off the?
He got like engulfed in flames.
Yeah. I'm saying you like that was Grand Moff.
I think that was him. Yeah, I think that was him.
Because he could possibly have multiple. Because I mean, if you think about it, unless he just start rebuilding them every time, it would be safe to assume that he had multiple cloning facilities, right? We already saw one that Karen them destroyed, right? With Mando, and then we saw this one. So who's to say he only had that, right? He would have. If using your theory, which makes sense, that if it would be like some kind of clone of him.
Yeah, like he might just pop up and be like, you know, who knows what they can do with that, you know, because it's a clone, you know, and
something like Admiral with Thrawn could be like, hey, you know, he started this, but and there was part of me using your the way you just kind of articulated that the whole even thing about clones, right? Like.
Yeah.
Like it's not really that. Like, well, we tying it from this to that. That we putting the timeline together. What a timeline probably is nothing close to being together, right? Like this is a whole different. This is his own thing, right? This stuff when they say I was making clones of myself, excuse me, I'm making clones of myself. But I got nothing to do with what's happening on Tantus and Bad Batch. Or what happens with that dog.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's his own. Because it was like, well, he making clones. He's not like Moff self-serving. Like that's what they just told us. Like he's not. Yeah, he was long lived the Empire, but he's really long lived Empire under me.
Moff Gideon. Yeah, I'm trying to grow in power.
Yeah, like I'm long lived the Empire under me. So like any kind of threads between what they doing over here to what they doing ultimately at the end, is that. That it has nothing. More until it. I'm with you. Until it has something to do with it, it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's basically
that's kind of how I ain't. You know, I want to put words in your mouth, Paul.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, that's exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. No, it's what we saw is what we got.
What we saw is what we got.
You know what we got, man. We, you know, like as much as I want to sit up here and I want to, and I will do it. You know what I mean? Just for the, because you know, but it's like, man, a lot of times, bro, man, I don't know if it's purposely done or if it's just how they write, man. But it's obvious, man. What they showing us is what we get, man. So you know what we see is what we get. And I think Moff Gideon died. He'll pop up again, but it'll be a force sensitive clone from you know, according to what he said about that was the part that they was missing was like, bro, that's a lot going on when you think about that. You know, it's kind of like that's where the plot what's supposed to be a simple plot sort of becomes convoluted because he's like, well. They had the only thing that was missing, and it's the force. But it's like, but in the other side, he's like, and I will bring back Mandalore, and it's like, man, it's kind of going in different directions here. Like, what do you mean? Okay, so you want to clone yourself to be you're making force sensitive clones of yourself, but you're also remaking like. So you're gonna have Mandalorians under the Empire, I guess. Yeah, you're gonna remake Mandalore under the Empire, but with force sensitive clones. It sound dope, but it's like, but it also is kind of like half baked. You know what I mean? Like it's like, all right, let me know how that's gonna work.
Talk about the force.
Yeah, talk about the
It's a pivot. It's a pivot, and again, you talk like you do jobs better than people. You can sound like you're trying to say that, but ultimately, those are the makers of something that sounds like a fourth season, right? Like it's not they had what they probably wanted to do, they couldn't do. I'm not trying to shoot them bail. I'm just saying like it just gives off that like we got to pivot on what we were trying to do for whatever reason, and they rushed into like maybe breadcrumbs they were laying out. Like, were you so that whole time? Because again, it gets to the empty. For me, it gets to the empty. Not the impact that you were trying to do don't really make sense. So it was like if you were trying to
landed.
Yeah, so it was like this entire time. So when you were trying to get Grogu, because you notice they didn't even try to go get Grogu.
No, they didn't. Right? His Grogu's purpose had been served. Like he wasn't like he's no longer the hot commodity for the Empire. Like he's not this number one target anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not even coming after him anymore. It's like, so again, my bad to cut you off.
Because remember, even in the second season, because that's the wild thing about it. In the second season, so I guess they would have. Now that makes sense because if I'm shooting them bail, because that's what I was about to say. In the second season, when they went to that facility, they were like, we didn't get enough. The little I got, the child, the child is too young, and the little I got couldn't keep the clones going. Right when they had that image, they were like, oh shit. When the doctor was talking, and then we get, but in the season finale, we can look at Grogu because they had already been taking a lot of blood from him. Like when the Dark Troopers got him, when he was on what was it, Torvis or when he was on that the Jedi kind of when he talked to Luke, right? When he was Ahsoka sent them to that planet. They were sitting on that like kind of like memorial, right? And that's when the Boba Fett episode when they got Grogu. Yeah. And that in between episode, they went to go, they went to that planet, so the Rodian factory. But once they got to Grogu in the season finale, he was weak because they had been. I was about to say like they didn't get what they wanted, but I guess they got enough blood they needed then because they was dumber than Grogu. Because you would have figured Grogu was still alive. It's like, well then why all this happened and why y'all still not trying to get him? But maybe they got what they needed, right? They got what they needed and didn't have to do anything else. And it seems like, keeping it a buck, that Moff really not trying to mess with the Mandalorian. He'll mess with the other ones, but like, oh, Din Djarin is there. Like Din Djarin, it's like I ain't really trying to fuck with him. Right.
Yeah, then like you said last week, Din nice, man.
Din nice with it, bro. Nice. So he ain't really trying to mess with Din. Yeah. But yeah, it was just like they went through all that. And then going back to what I was really trying to say. I got sidetracked about a Grogu, the need for Grogu. But all that they were setting up, it just as much as we make fun of Roundhead and all them and the story they told in the sequel trilogy, fact is it seemed like they were setting up the Snoke, and then ultimately like, okay, this clone, and then that story that they were doing, like, okay, you trying to get midichlorian and you adding Force to clones, isn't that Snoke?
Yeah, that sounded a lot like Snoke.
It's a little Snokey right there, right? That's a Snoke theory if you ever heard one, and it wasn't.
Shout out to Snoke theory.
Yeah. Oh, what's the name of our show?
Yeah, I know. Almost named. Damn.
They got the Snoke theory, and it sounded like a Snoke theory, and it was laid out to be a Snoke theory. That seemed like the breadcrumbs. Whether we wanted to go there or not, that seemed like that makes sense. It happened, right? It happened, but it don't seem like that's like, oh no, they was Moff was just trying to clone himself and have the Force in his clones.
He was trying to
hope that he figure if your clones got to have the Force. Did you have the Force? You was strong as hell, but it could have been just the armor. But did you have a little bit of the Force? Like, why would you have your clones have the Force and not yourself? But yeah, I guess maybe you couldn't. You can't just make yourself out of Force. You gotta breed it. But at the end of the day, that's all it was. And it was like, my point was like, man, that was 3 seasons of figuring out what he was doing for it to be that.
Yeah, that was
And whether that was good or bad, it was just like nothing
hit. Nothing landed. And that was my next question. Did anything land for you?
I honestly, nothing, bro.
Nothing.
And that's not even me trying to take a shot. That's just saying like, because then there's a part about it, like you say, we get into these things and it's fun, man. I'm not gonna not do it because it is fun when
I love doing that.
We could mess around and get to this Ahsoka show and be like, God damn it. But you can't take nothing away from me from like 2 weeks ago when that shit dropped and we was talking about it. You can't take that moment away from me, man.
Man.
And I'm gonna fall for it again.
No, I can't wait.
We may get to the thing and we might be like, man, that ain't even close to what we was talking about it earlier.
I'm almost guaranteed that we will.
It ain't even close.
So I told you we need to get that drop where pitch me and you like, it's gonna make you pay for that. You know? Look, man, I got this theory, man. Just hit that. You just listen to me, just hit that button, like I'm gonna make you pay for that.
That's what I'm saying. Like we know we gonna get we had all that. So that is partly I'm gonna put that. I'm not gonna put it on the show. I'm gonna put it on the show, but I'm gonna put it on myself as well. Pause. I'm gonna be accountable for that. Yeah. That I play a part in that. When you looking at the things the things that had happened this season, we should have known from the beginning when they took that first 20-minute episode, right? When it should have been 2 episodes, but they did a 20-minute premiere to kind of like reword what they had already said before. They just reworded like literally was an episode of The Armor just rewording what they said and then rewording going to what IG-11 just rewording things that have already been in place, right? Like what we already established and we just did that to reword what was already kind of talked about, and then those things that they reworded and then they set up. I'm trying to think about the Mythosaur was probably the dopest thing that had happened, just to like it be nothing, right?
That's the best episode of the season, right? And we'll get to that. We'll go over the season here in a minute.
I think I would. Yeah, we had to think about it, but like, we had to do it like a full thing. But like, I'm trying to think. Grogu didn't have any moments. Like, Grogu had already stopped fire.
Yeah, that was just.
And they used the same movie from Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy. They used the same music when Groot did his thing. But Grogu had already did that. He had already did those flips. He did those flips actually in the Mythosaur episode. That Mythosaur episode was good.
Yeah, that was a great episode. We keep coming back to that.
Damn good episode. That was a great episode.
Yeah.
When he did, like, he seemed like, okay, this dude growing up. When Den lost the saber and then Grogu had to sneak around. He was sneaking around trying to figure out. He looked like he was growing up. I'm gonna sneak around. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try to get this situation open with the Force. I messed up because I'm still young, but then I was able to get away and go get Bo-Katan. And I'm listening, like the things that was happening, like he was hopping, getting away from the shots, right? And then Bo-Katan came up gangster, and they had that conversation about the suit, and then they saw Mythosaur, like they had the little story, like that was like a really good, like that was a really good moment. So like that moment he did have development, but like they didn't do anything with that. Bo-Katan lost agency after that.
Yeah.
But she was the star of the season, but she didn't, you know. We said I'm not gonna rehash what I've said 1,000 times about Bo-Katan and, you know, her decision making and or lack thereof. But it was just I'm trying to think. I don't think
how far
anything had happened that was like we saw like last year, and I hate to keep nothing can compare to season 2 of Mandalorian, right? That's just one of the greatest seasons. So I'm not trying to do that. That's tough. But like we saw Boba Fett in episode 1.
Right.
Then he shows up. Like that's within the season. But then Boba Fett helped them get to the child. So it wasn't just like which it could have just been fan service. Like, good damn, it's Boba Fett. Anybody, I think about you with that pause. I was like, Boba Fett, my favorite character. I never got to see him on the screen. I got the stories, but I never got to see him do that. So for that one moment, for all the people who got like the Luke situation, no, it was like we never got that guy, right? We know what happened, but we never got that guy on screen like after the Return of the Jedi. where all the stories are. You know, that kept Star Wars going, you know, the legends and all this and all that.
Yeah.
But like things were happening in season 2, even Bo-Katan, that while being fan service, played a part in the story. And then it then like, okay, that's why that happened. Now we got this. Okay, yeah, it all hit. Easy to say that was season, but I think season 1 had some of those moments too. But this one, yeah, it was just those things that happened. I had to do a rewatch, but I'm trying to think of a moment where it's like they had the pirates and then they fought the pirates again, and it's like, okay, whenever it was established that they was a sober suit, it just nothing was there. Yeah, I don't think there was. I don't think there was. It's a long. My bad. I'm going long, but it was like, I just don't think. I think I didn't think about that till you asked me about Paz Vizsla. That's what makes me think about it now. When you said, "Hey man, did you anything?" And I was like, I didn't even think of it. I was like, no, it was just a. But everything that had happened in the season like that was that, and I thought about that watching this episode, and I was like, wow, yeah, you're right, man. Like that. Now I'm paying attention to that those things that happened. I don't think anything like hit. Honestly, I don't even think anything. I mean, not that I'm looking for that in shows, but I don't even think anything was emotional.
It wasn't, man. Like even the fact that his son finished the Creed, which was weird to me because I'm like, I thought he finished it in the first episode, but
he had to do it again.
Why? He had to do it again, and it was nothing
because it was a Living Waters.
But it wasn't
even all have to do it.
Yeah, I would have to go back and watch, but
that's crazy. You're right.
He wasn't holding his. He wasn't. He could at least been holding his dad's helmet or like his armor.
Yeah. Those little moments, man. Yeah,
he didn't even get that. Like he didn't even have his gun. Like if he had a piece of his gun that overheated,
something that was his father's.
Yeah, like something like that. The vibro blade, the shield, something from his dad, just to know, just to give you some type of emotion. Because you're right. Mando that's what was missing from this last episode was the emotion.
Yeah, they didn't have any emotion because Mando and what's the name? It didn't even have like a conversation. Remember, there was only us three, right? Before he was an apostate. Like there was never a moment about Paz, and especially with the son. And he was about to do the thing again. And the only thing that happened was then saying, "Hey, my son go too. He go next, right? My son go next." Like, oh, what are you talking about? That's not your son. You have to adopt him first. Because they was in the Living Waters, and when you say it in the, Living Waters can, it's like this plot device, right? You can do anything in the Living Waters, like you're not really his father until you can say it in the Living Waters.
Again, stuff that I feel like they just add on as we go on. Like you just add shit, like shit just pop up, like, oh yeah, we can, when we in these Living Waters. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, like it's just stuff added on top of stuff, man.
Right. That should have been a moment where they kind of tribute, like you said. Like it was a son for whatever reason he had to do he had to do the trial. So I'm wondering did everybody have to do trials again? Because why would his son have to do it? He already did it. But with that being said, like right, that could have been moments. Do you think there were any emotional moments in the season? Did they put them all in that episode 6 of Boba Fett? Because that whole episode was emotional.
Oh man, that was the most emotional episode in the Mandoverse so far.
Yes,
but just like you said, you brought that up. Just comparing again, not to over compare season 2, but even season 1, comparing the finale from season 1 and season 2, they were filled with emotion. Man, there's dudes that shed tears, bro. Not only people was crying because they saw Luke, but it was sad. If Luke Plo Koon would have shown up, or any Jedi, anybody would have shown up and separated Grogu, had it been Ahsoka, any Jedi that would have popped up would have elicited some type of emotion.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
The way that was set up,
because he had to give up. It was the fact that he had to give up his son. He had to give up this kid that he had changed his entire life. You know what I mean? Like that landed because he had to hand over Grogu. The fan service was Luke, which just pushed it over the top. People wasn't emotional. People wasn't sad to see Luke. They was happy to see Luke. It was sad because he had to give up his son.
Oh, when he had to give up his son, hey, bro. You want to talk about like when Grogu wouldn't let him go?
Man, when he told him when he had to tell him like
he wants your approval.
He wants your approval. He waiting on you. And he had to look down. He had to pick him up and take his helmet off, and that was emotional.
Shit,
that was an emotional, sad moment. But even go back to the first season.
I was about to say,
hey, man, Dan was done. About to die. Like, no living thing has seen me without my helmet. He's like, I'm a robot, which was,
I'm still, there was a layup line. No living thing is, I'm not a living thing.
It was an alley. Yeah. He was like, all right. And then he sprayed him and then we saw Grogu use the fire. That was a big moment. These was big moments.
I give you another one. When I Have Spoken died.
Oh man,
IG-11 died.
When IG-11,
people like if you watch a reaction, you will cry when Quill, because you knew it. We all knew it. We knew it was coming. When Quill was done. Yeah. Then like you say, IG-11, and that's like those moments hit, and that's the same episode. Well, I know Quill died at the end of the previous episode, but that was in the same episode that final finale. Like to me, like when she says you're a clan of two, she set him up for season 2 off that line.
Yeah, that was a great line.
She said like that was season 2, like you're a clan of two. You got to get him back. You got to get him back to one of his own. You got to get him back to one of his own. Yeah. You got to get him back to the Jedi, the strange sorcerer's named the Jedi, or whatever her line was. That was dope as hell. Like you got to get him back. And it was like that was okay. We know what season 2 about. He got to get him back to the Jedi.
Back to the Jedi. What do we get from this season? What did we hear from this season? What line? How was he set up for season 4? I think you said it earlier. You said it's basically nah, you didn't say it, but yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. He was season 1. Those finales, they were so impactful for so many reasons, and one of those reasons was they set up a path beyond season 1, beyond season 2. I didn't get that here.
No,
I didn't get that here. I got the I just got things that I already knew. Like there was no revelation here. There was nothing where I was like, oh my God, damn, oh wow. No wow moments. No real fan service either. Unless you just really into jetpacks and fighting in the air and you know,
man, so that's the thing about that is, bro. I think about that, and not to overstep what you're saying, but I think about the jetpacks, and while it's dope, I mean, we got that in Clone Wars. We got that in. It's not like nothing we never got.
Clone Wars. We got
and then it was already dope when Den got his. That moment where he got his jetpack.
Man. Every time he got an upgrade, it was like a video game. It was like you getting it in a video game. You know how when you playing a game, you see the trailers. Like even with Fallen Order, you saw him with you saw trailers. He got a double bladed. He got two light. He got the dual wheel. You like damn. But you start the game off and all you got is that one lightsaber with one color, and you like, man, when you play that through for the first time and you unlock all those different weapons and different hilts for your lightsaber, different colors, different crystals, I should say. When you get the dual wheel, when you get the double bladed, those big moments. And we always say, man, the Mandalorian is written like everybody knows it's written like a video game.
Exactly.
Every time he upgraded, it was like a game. It was like, man, when he got the I hate that they burned down that or they melted down the staff that he got, the spear.
Oh,
the spear was dope. The way he used to put it behind the cape when he kind of looked like a Spartan.
I had that spear swag. His spear swag was man. They gave that one up. It was like, but we thought he had the dark saber,
and then he had the dark saber.
So that was the thing with that. If he don't got the spear, at least he got the dark saber.
He looked like the reincarnation of the first Vizsla. So it's like you see him and you like, man, this is dope. But then it's like it just. They didn't do anything with that. They just he melted down the spear. He lost he lost all his weapons. I mean, only thing he really got is like whistling birds. That was a big moment too, like you said. But still, yeah, he really don't have any of these weapons. So it's like we didn't even get that. We didn't he didn't get anything new. It's not like, yeah, he didn't get a new piece of armor. I mean, they could at least gave Grogu some armor. Like, here, finally, look, I've completed your set. I was waiting to give you this. Grogu should have got a damn helmet. It's like it wasn't no service moments there. It was just.
But you said it, like they changed the way the story was told changed, because those first 2 seasons was literally a video game.
It was a video game, yeah.
It was a video game come to life. It was like, damn, I wish we had this as a video game, but we kind of was watching. It was like when you go into story mode.
Damn, they had a silent. Yeah, no, you're right. No, my bad.
No, it was like third person, really watching a story mode of the game where you just let it rock and you don't got to play. You just let it go, right? I know people that just play God of War like that. They had never played it, but they let it just play
story mode. Yeah,
story was good enough to like to rock, right?
And you had a silent protagonist for the most part, right? Like you didn't have to worry about like you didn't, because a lot of games are like that. Especially a lot of old school games where the protagonist doesn't speak. Everybody they tell a story through him interacting with people. And this was kind of the way, it's just like he was just kind of like the story is being told on how people interacted with him and how they interacted with him and Grogu. And it was like, right, it was like, well, damn, but you know what wasn't like a video game was the Book of Boba Fett.
No.
That wasn't like a video game. They really tried to write out a story and it didn't work for the most part. And I kind of feel like it's the same thing here.
Yeah.
With Bo-Katan being the new protagonist, it wasn't like a video game no more. It was like, oh no, we got to tell her story. It was almost like DLC, you know what I mean? Like where you like,
yeah, you want to continue on that side of it,
yeah. It's like
you threw Spider-Man.
You got to go here. Yeah, you got to go here to because DLC can be hit or miss. It can be the dopest thing ever, like them 2 episodes of them 2 episodes in Book of Boba Fett. That was like DLC for that show where you was like, damn, this shit is dope. You know what I mean? These 2 little episodes. But in this case, the Bo-Katan DLC, as we can call it, was kind of like it was a miss. It just didn't didn't hit the same because she wasn't getting. Now technically she was like getting upgrades, right? Like here's your. What if I want to wear 2 sets of armor or whatever she said? What she say? 2 insignias or whatever she was saying. What if I want to wear 2? And he said, you can do that. And then it was she got the Darksaber back, and she had her little moments, but it just wasn't the same, bro. It wasn't the same as the first 2 seasons. And it just never had the same impact that we got with Din Djarin in the first 2 seasons, because she's not the same type of protagonist. Bo-Katan she got a set personality already. She's it just didn't work for me.
And the way the story was told, I mean, just you laying it out, like just the way the story was told, like you went from you didn't even like, you had those things that was happening with Din, and then you didn't apply the same level of or type of, you didn't apply that same kind of like narration to Bo-Katan, if that's what was going to be it. Like if we're going to do it like Bo-Katan did not need to complete a mission. She did, but they didn't set it up as such. Like her going to this planet and they have to go cancel out rogue droids. Like that's like some bullshit DLC.
Yeah,
it's not a story, right? Like what is Bo-Katan trying to do? Right, we trying to get back to like no, that's not a mission. That's not a well constructed mission. I'm sure when they was in a room, it was a mission, but it just wasn't a well constructed like appealing mission.
No,
we gotta get Mandalore back. So it's like no one asked like, well, how do we do that? Right? How do we do that without just like without going through Act 1, going in and say Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, we're gonna tell a story today. And then but that's kind of how it was. Like we got to put 8 episodes together. Just do what we got to do to get episodes together, as opposed to like, if we got to take over Mandalore, like how are we going to do this? Right? How are we going to with A, B, C, and D? Like, whereas, like you say, between 1 and 2, and then that's a good point about the Boba Fett, because like even the Mandalorian because I know he was in 3, but the 2 episodes, those were still like he got the N1. You know what I'm saying? He had to
he got the ship upgrade.
He had to go get the ship up. He had to go get some
training.
He
had to go get some training
from what's the name? So he had the story of getting to that planet. He get to the planet. Him and the armorer talking. Then he got a battle for the Darksaber. He started in the beginning with his mission, chopping people up. He get the N1, like, golly, we got the N1, and then we go to now we got to go see Grogu, right? Along with the Cobb Band, just beyond the fan service. Like, okay, now we gonna we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna have Cobb Band come up, and we're gonna reconnect with him. With that paid off, right? Even though I think we both agree that we don't like the ending, what happened to Cobb Band, but Cobb Band showing up earlier paid off right here. There wasn't a wasted thing, and then we got this situation, and we can pick what you want through that episode to be the thing, right? Because there's a lot of things that could have been the thing, right? Pick whatever you want. But then you get to this, you go from that to this, and that level of storytelling. So yeah, for all the moments because I had some moments, so I'm not gonna be shitty about it, but like that part where like the Mandalorian, the story, we can go to season 2 and be like, wow, if we really want to, we can be like, man, Mandalorian didn't say a lot. Like people who showed up said more than Mandalorian. Like they could, but like the story was always there. He needed to get the child to the Jedi, just like you say. I'm playing Fallen Order. I need to go do this. Like, so no matter what's happening, I need to go get to this holocron. And everything is about that. No matter what planet I go to, and I got to go on these side missions, help the Kashyyyk. I got to go to Kashyyyk and do this, or I got to go to such and such and do that. But it was still about what it was about. I don't know if I bet if we asked 10 people that watched this season, we probably would all have different answers. We want to be a consistent answer about what it was about. And I think that's that's the biggest crime about it. This is like, for any moment that was cool, but what was it really about? What was even the finale about? Because if all this was like to set up the New Republic, well, I'm not interested in that right now. Right?
That's a good question.
You need
it was about retaking Mandalore, but it's like it was about bringing these 2 different factions, I guess, of what's left of the Mandalorians together to reclaim their planet. That's a good question.
Yeah.
But add to this, add to what we're talking about. Add in the fact, on top of all the problems this season had going for it, add in the fact that they basically took a show that was sort of shelved or canceled and just said, nah, we'll just tell it through the Mandalorian. And that's the Rangers of the New Republic, right?
Yes.
Like they basically they did a backdoor pilot for the Rangers of the New Republic that this season really did not need.
Didn't need.
It just really didn't need it. And that's basically what they did. They just, so we just like, we watching this and we like, you know, you said it was no such thing. It wasn't no filler episodes. Yeah. It's like, technically the stuff did pay off, like the whole episode with Pershing, but that's like they really didn't need that episode.
No, and I'm saying like the other seasons, right, didn't have that. I think this season probably was all filler.
Yeah.
It was really episodic this season. Like even in seasons 1 and 2 had filler, right? It probably seemed like filler until it paid off. Like, oh, okay,
It's like, but for them to do that entire episode the way they did it, for basically to be a throwaway line by Gideon at the end, like, or really, when he talked to the Shadow Council, and he was kind of like, what happened? Didn't you have Pershing? They asked him a question about Pershing. He was like, oh yes, Pershing's been whatever. You know, he kind of, and that's really the extent of Pershing. That's really the extent of what that episode's payoff was. But it really has no bearing on the final episode. Like,
it had no bearing on the season.
Had no bearing on the season. Like,
that's
they went through this whole thing to get rid of Pershing just for to be a throwaway line.
And they had him all in the trailer, and that's the weirdest part about it. Is like, me, I went in. Oh man, they done brought him back, so they got I like to see what I said, but I remember being like, why would they had him walking like? And it was like you say, it was really nothing. And then for them to do the backdoor pilot, there's no way that you and I are sitting here. I ain't gonna want to speak for you. There's no way you and I are sitting here and being like, "Ooh, this New Republic storyline, like, yeah, it's not enhanced." I didn't walk away from enhanced from the storyline.
Oh hell no.
Hell, the hype is I was probably with the season when I seen Zeb.
That's the hype as I was for the season.
You got me hyped for Ahsoka.
That's the hype. No, bro, that's the hypest.
She didn't even show up, yo.
Man, and that's kind of where we can segue into like what was the best season of this, or what was the best episode of this season, right?
I think we
know what it is. We talked about it. It's the mythosaur, and that would be because she saw the mythosaur at the end of the episode, and it was the one where he got kidnapped and Grogu had to go get her, and they had to go rescue. Then
that was the best episode of the season.
That was the best.
I'm trying to make a case. Because I think so. Again, with new information, you allowed to change your opinion. I thought what last episode, the episode 7, I felt like that was the show. I like what they were doing is kind of what I expected, but just to find out that the spies didn't really mean that was they put the wrong title. Like that should have been titled for the baby girl, the muscle girl episode, right?
Yeah,
the one with Persian that probably should have been called the spies. Maybe they put the wrong title on there or something.
That's what it seemed like. That's what it seemed like.
But I'm looking at the different episodes now. I would have said, if you'd have asked me at the end of like right after 7 ended, and just the intrigue of someone could be in the Mandalorian spy, I would have said that one. But when you now that we completed it,
man, that would have been the best episode, right? Like knowing, because I always say that about why I hate for the Force Awakens so much, right? Because the next episode didn't pay off, right?
Yeah,
literally,
The
Last Jedi was so trash that it hurts the Force Awakens. Because the Force Awakens is like you said, it's like it's a layup movie almost. It's like, hey man, we setting up Snoke, and we setting up Luke coming back, and we got Leia back with Han. And
walking out of Force Awakens. Whatever's whatever, but you walked out like they setting up Luke.
Luke came in at the end. Snoke is somebody. I'm like, man, Snoke look like, hey, we ain't know because you walking out of there, you like, man, I think Snoke 8 feet tall, bro.
Snoke one of
Snoke
those.
A giant, man. Hey man, Snoke.
His hologram was nasty, man. It was a clean hologram.
Oh, his hologram was big, man. He controlling. He doing wild shit through like, so you looking at Snoke, man, you just like, oh, this about to be in a crazy trilogy, right? But I'm kind of, I always was on hold with Force Awakens because I'm like, I hate to say it, but it's like, I don't know if I like this movie yet. And I always knew how much I like this movie is going to be determined on how good this next movie is, right? Yeah. And when I started seeing the build up for The Last Jedi, I'm seeing screen shots from and I'm hearing the theories, and I'm just like, oh, Force Awakens is about to be one of my favorite. Like, I you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If The Last Jedi would have been dope, we'd be looking at Force Awakens like, hey man, that was a good way to come back to Star Wars, wasn't it? But the fact that The Last Jedi was so so earth-shatteringly bad for the entire franchise, that movie is this. Hey, if the bottom 3 for me, Force Awakens is on there somewhere. It's
because
it ain't as bad as The Last Jedi. Yeah,
it's not, but it's the follow because it was dependent on, like, if you just see Force Awakens for the end, and you like, we really about to do it. You know my line always, we about to do this. Like that's like the poster child for we about to do this, right? And it's like Luke standing there, and it's like, oh shit. Like, and Snoke was even talking that noise about look like, hey, go get that map. We're gonna get the Skywalker, and it's like, oh, we really about to. And she found him. and he was there, and it was like, so like, yeah, but it was going. It's like I think one of the things we always talk about the MCU, a movie that got so much better over time was Ultron, because everything that came after it, right? And I don't even know if that was a movie that was set up in that fashion, like, hey, we gonna see what Ultron be afterwards, right? Like, we need that. But it was like, once everything that happened with the Infinity Stone, how the story, like, oh, that movie is so much better than when it came out. Like, once you start tying all the pieces afterwards. So yeah, I do that with, I'll talk about it with WandaVision. I say everything was dope until it wasn't. And then it took away from what it was for me, right? The way it ended and what it ultimately was, right? And who the villain was and all that. But like, when it could have been Mephisto, when it was like this multiverse that was happening with Evan Peter, and when it was like, when we got Quicksilver and all that, until it wasn't. Then it was like, oh, well, it's not really. But yeah, that's a good point. And that's how I feel about last episode. I mean, it's obviously not on the level of any of those. I would have said it was the best episode of the season until it had nothing to do with spies. And it was like, well, so then what else was in that episode that would have made it? Was the intrigue that
not
did
a damn thing. Yeah, it was just called Spies.
Yeah,
like,
it was just called the Spies.
It lived and died with that title. You know what I mean? But that's a long way of me from saying. Yeah, just saying what we just said. What you said just now was, yeah, man. Like this hinged so much on the episode before, it makes you look, or the episode after it makes you look back on Spies like, man, Spies could have been they could have been one of the best episodes ever.
One of those ones.
If it had led up, man, if the armor came out and took that helmet off and was like, oh, my name, I go by Rook Cash, you know what I mean? That's my real name and all this. And man, that we would have been looking back on like, man, like, that's one of those ones. Man,
they set it up and then it paid off. So it's like I'm looking at this rundown, bro. And the only one that's I'm looking at all episodes, and the only one that stick out to me is the Minds of Man. Like, even from a title standpoint, the Minds of Mandalore is a dope AF title, right?
Yes,
and that's the episode that do it. Everything else, I'm sitting here like I'm thinking about Guns for Hire, and that's the Darksaber episode, and it's like the pirate ones, and I thought from the trailers that the Mandalorians were going to be so much doper, and they just wasn't when they was going to be scrapping. Was the convert one the one that was the one with the
was that the one where the kid got kidnapped?
No, that was Pershing's.
That was Pershing.
Yeah, the Foundling is the one where a kid got kidnapped, because they used that one to have. It's those moments, right? I keep bringing them up, like the empty, like. It's the bringing up Zeb in the episode, that which is great to see him, and I'll never forget. I got chills now, but then it's like it was about pirate. It was that was the one about when the pirates was taking over the town. It was like it was seeing his Foundling title, and it was like, damn, we got the Order 66 Grogu with Ahmad Best catch and wreck. Like, that was such a dope moment.
Whoa, hold on. What episode was that?
That's the Foundling, right? Is that the Foundling episode?
If there's a number 2, that's number 2 for me.
As far as moments or episodes,
that might be the best. That might be the best moment for me. Then
that's the best moment. That's the best moment. Let's
flashback. Without my best. Let's keep it a buck. That's one of the greatest moments.
No, it's
if I'm man, because I can get on them for the season, bro, because they really like. I don't know what the hell was going on with this season in terms of writing and planning, but and I felt like it was a lot of behind the scenes stuff, obviously. But man, the fact that they brought Ahmad Best back and his scene was that dope, knowing the backstory with him.
Yeah.
That's a great moment, man.
Yeah,
so I think that's the best moment. Yeah.
Zeb, I compared to that. Like good seeing the Greg was is so fucking good. But
and I ain't mean, my bad. I ain't mean
no.
Right.
You gotta, this is the part. This is what you hope they doing in the writing room. Somebody say something, and then somebody come, hey man, that's good. That's okay. But how about this?
There, though. I got him on the phone right now. Yeah.
Let's talk about this. Yeah, I think that's the Foundling episode when I'm pretty sure that's the family. Damn, that seems so long because it was episode 4, but damn, it was only 8 episodes. That was the middle of the season.
It's a quick season, wasn't it?
And they all 8, but this seemed like it seemed short compared to like the other seasons. And I think when you look at like the meat, like if you look at like looking at the seasons, one is like I'm looking at the rundown, because remember we were joking the last time. I hope we were joking on film, but we might have been joking on the side. I don't know if we recorded that when it was like I think we were when the grief was like, "You got your dust and get out of here." You know,
you got your dust breathing. Don't beat
it. So seeing that, I watched that episode and it was like, God, that's such a great episode. And you start looking at season 1 and it's like, you can watch that thing. You watching that thing all the way through, right?
I'm about to watch it.
And then you watch season 2. Hey man, this is I think I gotta have a conversation with you. Look, I'm not gonna sway you. Looking at this now, looking at the Mandalorian as a whole. Look, season 2 is one of the greatest seasons of anything for me. I would say if you look at season 1, it's probably like an episode or 2 of season 2 that I can do without. I don't think in season 1 there's an episode I can do without. So I don't know what I'm trying to say. Season 2 is a better season. Season 1 had more quantity of better. It wasn't better quality, but the quantity of episodes were better. I think all 8 you could watch. Season 2, I could honestly go without the siege, and I can go without the shit where Frog Lady, the passenger,
that damn Frog Lady episode.
I can go without the frog. I don't have to watch. Like I can, if I started to watch now, if I did a season 2, I would probably not. I would probably skip that one. I think I would I would watch the siege, but I would just fast forward to when they started, like when they tried to get their escape, because Mando did some dope shit when he got into the Razor Crest and he flipped it and then he went back up into the sky. He shot back down and he just went right through he was nasty. And then Grogu stole them cookies. It's kind of dope. Little dude didn't want to give him them cookies.
He done barked the cookies up.
Yeah, and then he threw that shit up.
He done yoked the cookies up.
Yeah. So like, but season 1, every one of these, maybe okay.
The Prisoner was dope too. Season 1.
Which one is the Prisoner? Hold on.
They had to rescue old girl brother
when he got into that Batman mode.
Man, I love that episode, man. That might be my favorite episode that season.
I might could not do the gunslinger one, but then I might could do. So if I had to,
that one had Fennec Shan in it though.
That one had Fennec in it. She was nice. Now, season 1 is 8 for 8. That's what I'm saying. Like if I'm doing percentages,
season 1 8 for 8, bro.
Season 1 8 from 8. I'm gonna say season 2 probably. What would you say season 2? Because I'm sitting on the frog.
I'm looking at it now.
I'm looking at the siege. I'm honestly going 6 for 8.
You really hate that frog?
6 for 8,
bro. But the frog again.
No. Talk to me. Talk to me because I might just be hating.
The Frog Lady season dope for me, man. I wouldn't. But the question is, what can I do without? Because if you're trying to say that, if you're trying to ask that, like what can I do without them shooting spiders in ice, or basically the fake Hoth, whatever fake Hoth was. I don't know what the planet was.
Yeah, it was fake.
But them basically him, trying to pull off this getaway from the Republic. Man, I can't do it.
See, now you, I'm gonna have to watch the Frog Lady episode.
Yeah, I don't know if I can cover it. And it was a great setup episode too.
I'm gonna watch the Frog. I'm gonna watch the Frog Lady episode again. I'm gonna watch it again.
Now, the Siege is the one that
the Frog Lady episode for a while. I gotta stop.
The Siege might be the one I can do without, man, because I just kind of felt like that was kind of like a throwaway because. Yeah, they went to that Imperial outpost. It was cool to see Cara Dune. It was kind of just an excuse to bring for Cara Dune to show her face and for Grief to show his face. But if you ask him if I can do without it, yes, I can do without it. All they do is they take down that base. Don't they see some clones? Which I guess will pay off this season.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the part where it's like that's where they saw the clones, like, and then they saw Pershing talking, and then like, oh, he was just cloning himself because I mean, at the time it's like, oh, that's Snoke. No matter, this how we get the Snoke, and then we get to obviously the Dexagol, but then you get to this.
I can do without it. I can do without it because I know Pershing exists. I know by the time we get to the end of the season, we know that he makes it clear. I just wanted a drop of his blood. That's all I wanted. Carlos, I just wanted his blood. So we knew that he was cloning, and then he wanted force sensitive. He wanted midichlorians, and he wanted that stuff. He wanted Grogu's blood because he was force sensitive. We could figure that out. I didn't really need to see these. Yeah, if anything, that shit gave me chills in the worst way because I'm thinking of, oh man, here we go, bro. That's kind of confirming that Snoke is gonna be a thing, and I don't really want to know about the origins of Snoke, knowing how much they wasted Snoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could take an episode out of season 2, it would be that episode. I can't take an episode out of season 1, so I would have to agree with you. Even after going through it, yeah, they 8 for 8 on season 1. I can do without the siege. Frog Lady episode just was like dope to me because
I'm gonna have to watch.
There's so many little bits in there, like the spiders was in the the spiders was like that's like original concept art from the first dude who did the concept art for Star Wars, Ralph McCurry. I can't say his name.
Yeah, he got it, bad boy. That's the god.
Yeah, but they based the entire Rebels was based off of his artwork, so it's like he got a huge
Chewbacca, right? And the Lasats. The Lasats are the original.
They were Chewbacca. Yeah, exactly. That's
so even more because the spiders were in season 3.
Exactly. They look a lot like those. So that was just dope. I mean, that was kind of suspenseful. Grogu eating frog.
He was knocking them shits off too, boy.
Man, Grogu.
Mando couldn't be bothered. I guess I had yeah, he did, didn't he? I guess I had Mando's I watched it with Mando's personality, like, because Mando couldn't be bothered. Like, hey man, yeah, she had to tell him, like, I thought you were a Mandalorian. I thought you was a man of your, like you said earlier, man of your word. He's like, fuck it, I'm gonna have to do it.
Damn.
Go ahead, because he was like, it's over. Because he could not be bothered.
Hey man, Mando could not be bothered.
He could not be bothered in that episode.
Oh man,
I'm gonna have to watch that. I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna watch it again after we get done. I'm gonna throw that on. But you know what happens if I throw that on? That means I gotta watch the chapter. I gotta watch chapter 9 before that. And I just thinking I'm doing the Mandalorian marathon.
Hey, but to go back to your point, what you said about quality over quantity. I would say, okay, so would you agree that season 2 was more consistent? No, I'm sorry. Season 1 is the more consistent season. Season 2 is the more like impactful, bigger, hard-hitting episodes, even if all of them didn't hit. They was like 7 for 8, or they was like, for you, I guess
let's go 7. Let's go 7, 8.
Let's go 7 out of 8. Right?
Let's catch me after I watch it again. After I watch that episode again.
Yeah, but it's like.
And
the ones that did hit hard. Like,
and before you finish that thought, one of the reasons I feel that way about that episode and the other ones, because I watched it in a binge format because I was trying to. I didn't watch Mandalorian right when it was happening.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I binged, so it was like, I'm just trying to get to the end. I'm trying to get to the end. You know what I'm doing right now is I'm rewatching Clone Wars. Yeah, there's a lot of Clone Wars I've just binged.
Bro,
I was trying to. What was I coming up on? It was something coming up, and I was trying to get the Bad Batch. I was trying to get the Bad Batch, so I binged. So there's a lot of shit in Clone Wars that I'm gonna catch for the first time because I was rushing to get through Clone Wars.
Oh yeah, I did that with Clone Wars. You'll find when you're going, bro. There's entire like sagas in Clone Wars that I missed because I'm like, damn, like. I had to go back and really check that Mandalorian stuff. Like, man, I ain't get all this. Like, hold on, man. Some of this, like, hold on, bro. What y'all talking about? Because I'm going back and I'm like, damn, man. When the bounty hunters, bro, when they had when they went on that little mission with the bounty hunters, it was like an episode where it was a lot of stuff, man. It's a lot of stuff in Clone Wars that got kind of glossed over. Cause unless you were watching it as it was happening, if you watching it in binge, you're not gonna be zoned in on all that stuff. You're not gonna be keyed in on everything that's happening. You're gonna kind of be like, all right, man, especially the way the show is formatted, where the rebels have won another battle. Here,
yeah.
You kind of like they start rolling after a while, and you just kind of like, all right.
And it's like you get to like season 2 and season 3. Remember that it might be like season 3 through season 5, where it was just like a hella like 3-episode arc heavy. So then you have a whole run was just about droids. You're like, man, look, I'm trying to get to the Bad Batch, man. I ain't really trying to see this droid. Yeah, so what shit has probably got missed in that. Because sometimes I'll watch other like a breakdown or something. They'd be like, oh yeah, this happened during the such and such arc of that, and I'm like, well, shit, man, I was trying to get to Order 66. So I can watch the Order 36 scene. My man said it's one of the best ones in Bad Batch. I'm literally just trying to get to that. So let's get this. So like it's like in my so some things that's in there, and I'm like, oh damn, I wasn't even really paying attention. I might have, because I was just trying to get through it. Like I say, that some of those binge kind of deals is like, well, damn, I'm missing some stuff that I probably would have got if I wasn't rushing through it. Yeah, the stuff that stick out. That's gonna stick out regardless. Pause. Like it's gonna hit without you having to watch it week to week or whatever. You gonna get the gist of it, but you gonna get that. But like some of the other stuff, like as just watching, if I'm a Star Wars fan, or whatever, if I enjoy Star Wars material, that probably even in the binge factor, I might gonna have to go back and catch those little extra ones. Hell, I had to do it with Rebels.
Yeah,
because I was just trying to get to the Obi episode.
It's Rebels. It's easier. It's easier with Rebels because Rebels got a story with a cast of main characters that you can follow.
Yeah, it's only a couple of them. Yeah.
Clone Wars really didn't start having a story, bro, until like Ahsoka got kicked out of the Jedi Order. Like that, like the moment she stopped becoming Snips is when they got like when Clone Wars got like a real story that you can follow. Like, okay, oh shit, okay, this shit really about Ahsoka and the Jedi. Like she, what I mean? This is really her story. They had Anakin in there and they had Obi-Wan and they fought in battles and stuff like that. And you got a good, but it was mostly like the main character was Ahsoka.
Yeah. And we got seen it through her.
Yeah, we saw the Clone Wars through her for the Jedi. And like I said, but a lot of that shit was like an anthology where they just was, for them first few seasons where it was just popping up telling different stories, like this battle, and like you said, 3-story arcs and 3-episode arcs, droids and bounty hunters and Mandalorians and Darth Maul coming back. A lot of shit.
A lot of Grievous stuff.
Grievous was in there. It was kind of
he didn't even get nice until like, I mean, I ain't gonna say he wasn't nice. I'm saying, well, like I mean, like even for him when he became that, he was not gonna say he became nice when he became that tool to knock out the Nice sisters, right? And then it's like, okay, then it like, okay, now we get into like some story. Otherwise, it was just like Grievous is getting away. Let's go through 3 episodes of Grievous. How's he going? We know he's going to escape because we saw him in episode 3, right?
It was damn near a documentary, like
yeah. A lot of that is that. So it's like, okay, we just trying to get to like we trying to get to where we. So yeah, the binging is. You lose, you get a little time later. It's like, okay, now I'm watching this stuff and I'm like, I'm not trying to like hype it up like, oh, it's super great now. Like this is every episode they make is, but it's like, oh, I can watch now because I don't have this like ticking clock. Because usually I usually have a ticking clock and I had that even with Mandalorian for whatever reason. And then it got to like, and Frog Lady became like the picture of my ticking clock. Like, look, that's the one I can just take out and don't really let me take that one out. And it's like, and then I just keep telling the joke about Frog Lady, even though when she showed up in the next episode in the beginning, like, oh, she met her father and they hooked him up with the man, told him where to go see the Mandalorians, and it was like that was her purpose. And they watched Grogu, and he didn't eat the little eggs at the time. But yeah, I would say, so it's definitely not me saying season 1 is better than season 2 is incredible. Season 1 is really, really good. I could even borderline incredible.